Cristina Costiniuc. She's basically a manager of Plagiarism in Romania, and Tahmazov, I'm managing Plagiarism in the international market. So basically, thank you very much for inviting us over here. What we would like to raise because actually we are working not only in Poland but also on some other countries, and mostly in I would say Eastern European or former communist countries, Soviet Union countries, I would say, and those issues that many of you are facing in so-called developed countries, I would say, it's a good terminology. So Western countries are not that, it's still quite developed, and it's quite advanced issue for the countries where we are working, and that's why we would like to raise and show you some experience that we got, and especially connected to politics, because this is what makes things work. I mean, politicians are quite powerful, influenceful in terms of the academic integrity in former communist countries. So you know that in Poland we are working with more than 200 universities, and we are one of the biggest companies that provides plagiarism software in Poland, and we are working together with the university in terms of the developing the procedures and increasing academic honesty and academic integrity. But and we are trying to disseminate and promote those practices and experience to the Eastern world or Eastern countries like Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Central Asia, Caucasus, Romania, and the rest of the Balkan countries. Unfortunately, they are serious issues that we are facing with. They are somehow related to politics or political decisions. In many of the countries, politicians are trying to solve the problem with administrative measures or administrative mechanisms. For example, they are trying to create sort of like standards mechanism, which is good, and sometimes it's exaggeration. This is what we would like also to mention about. Why is it exaggeration? What sort of exaggeration we would like to show on example of Poland? We do cooperate with Polish, I mean, state institutions, state bodies, but time to time we don't understand each other. One of the issues where we don't understand each other, and it's quite recent issue, it's quite recent topic that raised in Poland, it is creation of the so-called uniform anti-plagiarism software for whole country, which will be free of charge for public institution. Sorry, and we would like to show you some experience that I personally had in Azerbaijan. It's a very small country in the Caucasus, and show kind of association between that issue and what I just talked about. So. So this is where Azerbaijan is. It's a very small country in the Caucasus, far away from the rest of the world. So it is actually. The point is that, and I'm actually originally from Azerbaijan. That's why I have a right to make such a joke. The point of it, when it's really far from the integrity processes, there are certain things that are going wrong, and it's really difficult to have an example of something and implement it in the country while you are far from certain integrity or I would say positive integrity processes. So Baku, this is the place where decisions are made, and I will just show you what kind of decisions was made. This is what Azerbaijan officials like to drive. That's another type of car that private officials in Azerbaijan and public officials, including university professors, I mean, because state state basically allocated a lot of oil money for buying the cars for the officials, okay? But once they decided that this is exaggeration and they have to save money and make it more or less free, yes, for country. So they created Lifan. Lifan is a car for officials assembled and partially produced in Azerbaijan based on a Chinese technology. To save money, of course, and prevent, exert of the money outside of the country. So they wanted to make a national brand, and they built a factory. They built a factory in a small city and spent millions of euros, of course. It's a national car, national brand, safe of money. What do you say about it? It's purely showing junk. Somebody said it's pedigree, etc. I mean, people were not happy, of course, because it was really poor cars and poor technologies. But trying to do a solution for the country, trying to make a national brand. It was good intention, in fact. Millions spent, built factory, purchased car. Where are the cars now? Garage. And state officials keep driving cars, okay? The car that they had before, and keep buying another cars. Why? Lifan service couldn't manage with tsunami of technical errors. Client contract-oriented customer service, because it was, as we understand it, was just a political decision to do it. It was not a market-oriented. No further development of technology, no support, just uncomfortable. There was no single independent test does, I'm sure if you ask in Azerbaijan whether the test was done, of course they will say yes, these are this organization, but we understand that it was not independent. Public was not involved in the decision-making process. They just decided. And with that public that agreed. Science got studied and restricted of using any other cars but before. Otherwise, we could turn to Volga. This one of the cars that actually allowed in Soviet Union to drive in. Okay, it was just restricted to buy any other cars. I mean, I'm talking about the foreign cars. So, government of Poland decided to launch central uniform anti-plagiarism system. You got associations, right? It will be free of charge for universities. Mandatory for all universities connected to central database of student papers. Intentions are great. In Poland, several anti-plagiarism systems are plagiarism available. OSA, Keynote, etc., and there are plenty of small ones. Public money spent, market player or monopoly, or another refund. It's a still open question. Okay, and it's in process, of course, because tender was just announced. Minister of Education is announced the tender, and they are trying to buy the technology. So basically, they announce a tender for technology. If any anti-plagiarism services are available over here, they can sell the technology for 10,000 euros, something like this. Yes, of algorithm. You know. Of course, it will be sold. Of course, it will be purchased, and it will be implemented, and it will be free of charge, whatever quality it is. So. We would like, this is, I would say, one block of the issues that are related to politics. It was some entertainment, something funny, but we would like to raise other issues that we faced with plagiarism connected somewhat to politics. I mean, there are a number of scandals in Poland, Romania, and former USSR countries that are showing that actually there is a big connection and big influence of politicians to the academic honesty and issuing or PhD titles. Yes. Sorry for my English. It's not my first language. To be PhD is acknowledged in society. If you are a PhD, you are promoted in society, you are important, etc., etc. But to be important is still not an issue. An issue is to be rich. Yes. Yeah, this is why people are important. They want to be more financially, you know. Maybe I cannot find the right word, but you got the point, right? PhD status recompensates financially, so about 15–20% of the salary can be added to the regular salary. Yes, in case if you are a doctor or a candidate to the or you are a professor. Boosted career promotion. Of course, if you are a PhD, you are more welcome to be promoted at higher positions. I'm not talking about private companies, I'm talking about state institutions where this system still works. And it's quite structured, well planned, well organized, smoothly moved from communism to the capitalism with all the phases of communism. Okay, we know that in many Western so-called countries there are similar problems, but the point is that in former communist countries, state is still quite strong, and it's trying to keep a lot of state institutions, state organization. There are a lot of people involved in this process, and that's why they want to be promoted. And the best way to be promoted is to be a professor, doctor, whatever. Over bureaucracy and lack of transparency. Higher attestation commissions at many countries, like it is seized in Ukraine, while it's converted to some other attestation commission. In Kazakhstan, in Azerbaijan, in the rest of the, even in Romania and some other Balkan countries, this higher attestation commission is quite strong. And influence, of course, it's not that transparent. Okay, so I would like to mention that rectors of in many countries, rectors are appointed by the presidents of the states. And that's how it's influenced to the election process. They basically enroll rectors to push their staff to vote for the state. Okay. We have so there are different ways how state is trying to fix the problem. Sometimes, like universities and the Minister of Education, just afraid to, for example, check the student paper. I would like to show. We have just a lot of data, and I know that we have a short of time. I just would like to give a chance my Romanian colleague share their experience in what's going on in Romania about this.
Thank you. I will just say a few quick words about the Romanian experience in politics and plagiarism. I'm sure that many of you know about the plagiarism scandal of Romania's former Prime Minister, but you may not know that there were a lot of other scandals involving important politicians. And because of these scandals, the issue of plagiarism has begun to be discussed in Romanian society. Although plagiarism is now used as a political tool, we also have to say that the multitude of scandals have also brought several important steps in progress. First of all, We can tell you about the Ministry of Education developing a platform dedicated for PhD dissertations. All PhD dissertations have to be checked now for plagiarism, and all the doctoral schools in Romania have access to this platform. The Ministry of Education has also issued a set of criteria that must be met by anti-plagiarism systems in order for them to be recognized by the ministry. That's helping universities choose good anti-plagiarism tools for preventing plagiarism. There was also a legal procedure introduced in the law for withdrawing PhD titles. And according to this procedure, any entity can notify the National Council for Attesting University titles and diplomas. And the council needs to give a verdict in 45 days. If the verdict is of plagiarism, then the ministry can withdraw the title. Thanks to this procedure, last year 4 PhD titles of important politicians were withdrawn. And now, of course, most universities in Romania use anti-plagiarism tools, and they have adopted, besides the standard code of ethics, transparent procedures for plagiarism prevention. Of course, there are still many issues which have not been solved. First of all, the legislation is still being debated, and it currently only covers PhDs. It does not mention any sanctions for supervisors or for doctoral schools. And for now, in the current form, it risks taking away the power from this council that gave the verdicts of plagiarism last year. Unfortunately, universities still prefer checking PhD dissertations because they don't see bachelors and masters as being valuable enough to be checked. Of course, this is an issue of money, but it's also the issue of being afraid of discovering rampant plagiarism in all the papers. Okay, very fast. Paper mills exist in Romania, and they have very cheap offers, but the issue is not being discussed thoroughly enough. Many professors expect the anti-plagiarism systems to just give the verdict because they are either too busy to analyze a similarity report or are afraid of taking on the responsibility of giving a verdict. And students, although they have access to more and more information, they don't really have clear definitions on plagiarism, on how to avoid it, and what the consequences might be. So we still have a lot of issues to solve in Romania, but we are definitely on the right path. Thank you.